I think we're on now, but I can't see a chat box. So let's see if we can get a chat box going. Actually, let's see if we can find it here. Are we live? It looks like we're live, but I can't see anyone. Just bear with me a second. Just bear with me a second. Yes, I can see that we're live, but I can't see any chat boxes. Where is my chat box? Huh? Oh well, we'll do it on two different devices, so you'll see me look away. Let me just turn this down, because otherwise I keep hearing myself. Hello everyone, can you hear and see me all right? Hello Annika. Welcome here. Hello Annika. Hello Kirsty. Lovely to see you. Who else is here? Write down your name in the chat box. Hello Linda. Nice to see you. So I don't know what's happened today, but I can see you on your chat box and I can't seem to have one, but it doesn't matter. We'll do it this way. It's always good to learn to improvise, isn't it? It's lovely to see you all here, and we're going to have a nice little chat about violins, violin playing, and anything that you might ask me in the chat box. So, Kirsty, you can't see me. Hello, Chris. So, other people, can you see me? What about it now? Is this better? Can you see me now? Anyone, give me an answer. Can you see me? Let me know if you can hear me or see me. Oh, right. Okay. Is that better? Can you see me now? I think you might be. All right. I can now. Okay, Chris, thank you very much for that. Let me just reorganize my desk, then it's a bit easier for me to see your chat box. I don't know what's happened just now, but anyway, sometimes things look different than other times. So we're here, and that's the main thing. Lovely to see you. I think we're all good now. Unless you tell me that is not good, I shall assume that it is like that. So if you're new here, welcome. Do write in the chat box, please. Do write in the chat box, please, where you are from, because it's always nice for us to find out where everyone is from. I'm in Norwich in the UK, and it's freezing cold, although the sun has just come out here. So I think the UK is freezing everywhere at the moment, but hopefully by the weekend it should be a bit nicer. So some people might live in a slightly warmer climate. What about you, Kirsty? You live somewhere in Scandinavia, don't you? Is it very cold there? Do we get your cold air here in the UK? Chris is in New Zealand. Welcome, Chris. Is it very late for you, late in the evening? Very, very good. So I'll tell you a little bit about the format. Some people will already know what this class is like. The purpose of this class is for me to connect with you, the audience, and the other way around, for you, the audience, to connect with me, because I know that you're all watching my videos and you comment on my videos, and that's all good, but it's just different to see each other in the flesh sometimes, and to just be able to get individual feedback, although we'll see how individual that can go. So Kelly Jane, hello, you are from Michigan. It's chilly there as well. Welcome to this class as well. And what we're doing is, if you have any questions during this class, then write them in the chat box. like you have already practiced, and then I'll read those comments and I'll answer your questions to the best of my ability. So let's see, someone has already asked me below one of the videos, and I'll start with that while you get your questions going. I'll start with that, about a shaky bow. And lots of people in the initial stages of their playing suffer from a shaky bow. And a shaky bow, when you have a look at your bow, let me just get my bow. It usually starts to shake for most people. For most people, it usually starts to shake when you get around this area of the bow. So I'll just play D string. And when you get here, the shaking starts sometimes. And what you can do about that, I'm going to tell you. Hello, Kenny C Music. Hello from Vancouver Island. That is really nice to see so many people from far and wide. So we were talking about a shaky bow, and a shaky bow usually happens sort of just above the middle. Now a shaky bow is usually a sign of tension in your bow arm, usually in your upper arm. Because we try to make the best sound that we can, and you presumably all being adult learners, we are far more critical about the sound that we make compared with children that are learning. We tend to overdo the things that we want to get so badly wrong, so badly right. So this is one of the causes of the shaky bow. Now, what can you do about it? When you hit that spot where you feel the shakiness come on, and you think, oh, here we go, it starts to shake, stop the bow, drop your shoulder down and drop your elbow and upper arm down. Then feel the contact with the bow on the strings and then continue to bow. Now usually in the up bow, there is not a problem for the shaky bows, usually in the down bow only, so you might go this way. Oh dear, I can feel it come up again, you see. So did you do the same thing then? Drop your shoulder, drop your upper arm, soften your bow hand fingers. Maybe that is something that might help you as well. And get it all slightly softer and with less tension, and then continue your bowstring. And again, up bow, usually not a problem for many people. It's the down bow right here. So I think we can all recognize this idea, and we've all been there in the past when you've got shaky bow. It isn't an overnight cure, I promise you. Sadly, I can't give you much more than keep on practicing it, and in 3 months' time you think, did I just not shake at all today? You see, then suddenly it comes. And then when you're more busy in the rest of your life, or things happen, or you play pieces that may be slightly too difficult for you, it comes back again. But do the same exercises all the time, practicing letting that elbow and upper arm go down, and shoulder as well. Then you get rid of that tension, not overnight as I said, but gradually, and that will help you reduce the shakiness. Another thing that will reduce the shakiness is a general relaxation in your playing. You might take your shoes off and play in your socks, and you'll find that a remarkably different feeling. And I've actually done a whole course of that. If you have a look at my Mindfulness for Violin Players course on my YouTube channel, you will find lots of exercises that explore this relaxation of your arms in relation to your shoulders, and your shoulders in relation to your neck, and all of that in relation to your stance, and it is going to help you play with a more relaxed body. And when you play with a more relaxed body, your playing overall is going to get much, much better, and you get rid of all these things that we happen to come across in our playing that doesn't actually help the playing, it hinders it. So if you could get more relaxed, that is always the way forward. Let me just come back and read the chat box. Yeah, Kenny says, I've been playing just over a year and a half, and the more comfortable you get and the more you play, it goes away. It's absolutely a time issue as well. We're living in a time when you click a button and here is your result, isn't it? And violin playing is actually one of those, shall I call it, dare I call it, a more old-fashioned thing. If you take the time and you explore what your possibilities are, given your instrument and your body and your knowledge about music, then you get further and further advanced. And it's not an overnight thing. It takes a while, and most importantly, it takes faith and trust that you will be all right in the end. I always give this same example, and it works all the time because most people can probably relate to that. When I had my first driving lesson, I was gripping the steering wheel and trying to do my very best not to make a single mistake, but there was so much to remember. And actually, once you pass your test and you start to learn to drive properly, you hold the steering wheel much more loosely. So you have faith that it will be all right with your bowing technique as well. Now let me see. Yeah, Annika says, can you have a look at the tonalization course? Now that is a course for more advanced players. Beginners will benefit from that as well, and it's in the membership area, and it is a fantastic course to start to build tone quality. So if that is what you want to do, there's lots of exercises. A lot of it is listening exercises and awareness exercises that make you listen out for overtones in your music and how you can explore the different sounds that your violin can make. It's really, really nice, and it approaches the music from a completely different perspective. So if that is something that you might want to do, it's perhaps not for completely new beginners, but once you've been playing a while and you want to explore something different, definitely check out the memberships. That is, so the tonalization course is one of the courses in the membership. Another really good one is obviously Suzuki Book 3. So if you've gone through my courses, Suzuki Book 1 and Suzuki Book 2, and you've managed those fine, there is a course, Suzuki Book 3, and it is in the silver membership. So if you want to explore those memberships, please go ahead. Why have I started the memberships? To get those people who want to get a little bit more out of their violin playing and push it a little bit further than the beginner level, to explore different techniques and to just develop your playing, and also to help me support the channel, because making these videos is something I love to do, but it takes a lot of time. So that's one way of you supporting the channel. So thank you very much. I'll check out your lessons, says Kenny. I use a couple of different online lessons. Sure, and that is the nice thing about learning online, is you can explore different ways, and if you find one explanation from one teacher a bit tricky, then you might explore somebody else saying the same things, basically more or less the same things in slightly different wording, and everyone is always going to benefit, both teachers and pupils as well. Linda says, thank you for writing your DIY violin book. It's fantastic, although not a beginner anymore. It is so much, there's so much in it for me. Would definitely recommend. Yes, oh, thank you. So that has arrived then. That is nice for me to know. My new book, let's carry on plugging. Why not? Then we get it out of the way. My new book, I didn't actually choose to write the DIY violin book. I got approached by Henriette, and they said, would you like to write a book? And I'm thinking, why me? What have I got to add? But in the meantime, I've told you this before, I have 3 children and they play more popular instruments: saxophone, flute, guitar. Okay, and I was always, as a violin teacher, really jealous of them playing so much more well-known repertoire. And I thought, why are we playing all these Bach and Vivaldi things on the violin that people don't already know? You get to know it when you learn it, obviously, but it's so much easier if you play songs that you already know. So that in combination with Hal Leonard asking me to write a violin method that uses Disney, Motown, Sony, any film tunes, any other tunes. I had complete freedom in including any pieces that I liked. So I've had a bit of a search around the repertoire for quite a while. How I could, obviously I know about pedagogy of the violin. I know what techniques comes first and what you teach after and after that and so on. So I have been trawling through lots and lots of popular music, making notes of whether I could use this for vibrato, whether I could use this for tone building, whether I could use this for position playing, whether I could use it for learning to play chords and so on. So I had a whole spreadsheet of lots of songs that had potential for teaching the violin with. So that was super exciting. For me personally, it was a very exciting time. Also learning a lot of pieces that my children tell me about, Lady Gaga, things like that. And so yeah, then it slowly came together, and obviously you'll end up with one or two things that you think, how on earth am I going to teach something and I've got no songs? But eventually it all came together really beautifully. So I'm quite pleased that this now exists, and hopefully you're all going to enjoy it. So here it is again. You play, let me just have a look. Hello, how do I pronounce your name? Henry? Henri? Hello, Henriette, my name is Henry. Hello, Henri. Bonjour, Henri. Lovely to see you from France. Okay, yes, we are having the same name. Kenny, you didn't know about do-it-yourself violin. Well, now you do. And Kenny says, I play Métis style fill tunes, which is something I don't know about. So let us know a little bit more about it. Yeah, Linda says, I was very impressed with the packaging. The packaging, I've just approached a packaging company and how should I package this? And they came up with that. And that's what it is now. So yes, it comes as really nice packaging. There's actually a video of me packing one of your books. So you can have a look how you will receive it. That's what I'm going to say. All right. Anyone else asking the next question? I can see all these emojis shooting up, and I don't know how you do that. So if someone can tell me how to do that, I'd find that very interesting, because I've said to myself I need to learn something new, and that is watch somebody else's live stream. So tell me how to do that. I'd find that much fun. All right, now I'll tell you another question that has come through, and that is about what do I think about online lessons for kids? That's an interesting one, because if it were the pandemic, then I would teach every child that was on my student list online. And for 90% of children, it worked absolutely fine, remarkably well. And I have to say, thanks to some very dedicated parents and some very dedicated kids as well, almost all of my lessons went through as normal during the pandemic. So that was unbelievable. I would never have dreamt that would have been the case. So everything just went online, and we all learned as we went along. Although I had a slight advantage that I was already teaching online since 2012. So I had a little bit of experience, and I had some time as well in the early stages of working with Skype to try and optimize Skype for musical instruments. Nowadays, everything's gone in a different direction, and I use Zoom as my preferred online teaching platform. But there are many different ways of conducting online lessons. Now, for the very youngest children, it is very, very difficult, and there has to be an adult in the room with the child. So I would say some 7-year-olds can do it by themselves, things will go more slowly than in a normal lesson, because you have to constantly connect with these children and constantly check that they're still engaged with the screen, which is really, really difficult for some. And others might just pop to the loo and never come back. So you get these things. So if there's an adult, it makes it a lot easier, because adults can also encourage the young person and say, go on then, let's have a try. Can you see that she's asking you to do this? Let's try this together. That sort of thing. So sometimes it needs a little bit of cajoling by a parent to be successful. Now, at the moment, I still teach an 8-year-old online. And this works absolutely fine. I mean, she's used to listening to instructions and following instructions. And also, we've both got used to not talking while someone is playing, because then you can't hear anything. And of course, one of the disadvantages is maybe that you cannot play together with a child. And, you know, especially when you're talking about intonation, it's easier in a face-to-face setting. I'm not saying it's impossible online, but it takes a lot more dedication, a lot more willpower, a lot more care and attention. So these are my thoughts. My preferred option would be to teach younger children, say 4 to 6. I don't teach many children below the age of 6 anyhow, and I teach very few face-to-face lessons nowadays, but you know, it is possible. But if you can make it face-to-face, then that is probably the preferred option, or a combination of do 1 week online, 1 week face-to-face if the travel is a huge issue and it's too time consuming with other children that you have to look after, you see. Right, I'm hoping that this answers somebody's question. I can't remember the name of the lady who asked me that question, but there you go, she will know. Let me just go back to my chat box and check out. Linda, when playing an extended 4th finger, do you just stretch your finger or move your whole hand? Well, Linda, that's a super good question, and people will do it different ways, but it depends. Let me see how I get into the screen. There we are. When you play an extended 4th finger, which means that your 4th finger, normally my 4th finger on A would be here on the E, and an extended 4th finger brings you to an F, let's say. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm stretching my finger, but sometimes I can sort of walk over the 3rd finger. Can you see? So my 3rd finger is my anchor. That keeps me in the 1st position, and that rolls over the top. Can you see it a little bit like that? So it's in the same place so that I don't lose the feeling of where it is. I'm stretching my 4th finger, and then it rolls over the top of your 3rd finger. Can you see? Sometimes you get 1, 4. You can see it less well. I'm just trying to do it this way so you can see. Never ever play like that, please, with your middle 2 fingers down, but I'm just showing Linda. Can you see I'm also going over the top of my 1st finger, you see? So I'm doing 2 things at the same time. I'm stretching my 4th finger and I'm walking over another finger, so that I always keep my anchor where I need to be, and I can come back to the 1st position after the stretch, you see. I tend to play very few stretched 4th fingers. It's usually easier just to shift to the 2nd position and then shift back again. And then you know for sure where you are, because, and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, just let this all go over your head, because that is more confusing than anything else. Okay, but I tend to use fairly few stretches. I tend to just slide, can you see, because now I'm shifting. Can you see? I'm also going to the 4th finger, but my 3rd finger is moving from the 1st to the 2nd position. Can you see that? So I would by far prefer that than stretching, but those are 2 different things, different ways that you can explore. Granny Funny, hello, welcome. Much love from Scandinavia. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you here. Anne Dwyer, hello and welcome. Thank you for these glasses. I'm also in Wayne County, Michigan. Lovely to see you here and welcome. You don't miss we are waiting. Okay. All right. So, anyone else has a question? Like you people just joined us now. If you have a question about violins or violin playing, then by all means write it in your chat box and I shall try and answer your question to the best of my ability. Now then, for those of you who are waiting with me for the next question, let me do my third plug of the day then. Did you know that we've got nice Pro Strings mugs? So every time you have your coffee in the morning, you can think of playing the violin. I have difficulty with left and right today. Can you see that? Oh, here, there we are. Really nice, big mugs. And you can get them from my shop in below every video on YouTube. So thank you for exploring that. There's all sorts of t-shirts, sweaters, that's those sort of things. So if you're interested in that, then go ahead and check it out. Anyone else for a question? Because sometimes people ask me questions below videos and I keep them usually till these live classes, but I've answered those 2 questions now. Granny Funny, I like this mug very much. Yeah, I love it as well. It has some sort of really soft edge to it here, which, I don't know, it's much more comfortable than my proper mugs that I have in my kitchen, you see. So go check this out. Anyone else? Still, I haven't heard from anyone how you do those heart emojis and things that just pop up along the live stream. So if you are the person knowing how to do that, then by all means let me know. Linda says you're working on the second position. Yeah, most people find the second position very difficult. And I can totally understand that. And actually, when I was learning the second position myself, I knew already that I was going to be a violinist. There was no question about that. But that posed some serious doubts because I thought, you know, this is so difficult. I'm not going to be able to do this. So shall I look into other possibilities of choosing different careers because I am just not going to get this. So it can be disheartening at times, but just stick with it. The penny will drop one day, and it is a super handy position. Now, why is the second position such a handy position? Normally we play in the first position, and that is when you have your hand just in their normal place, okay? But if you shift every finger up one, that's called the second position. And if you go up another one yet again, that is the third position. And on a guitar, we all know that the guitar has frets like that. Those are really indicating where all the positions are. Okay, so guitarists have it much more easily than we as violinists do. They don't put frets on a violin because it would make the instrument very crowded, first of all, here. But also, it would make it a lot heavier, and it is heavy enough as it is. So when you play, we usually play the first position first, and then we learn as our next step the third position. And if you want to learn the third position, go ahead and check out the memberships, because in the membership video series for members, for gold members, there is a series about third position, and you learn step by step how to play the third position, and it will enhance your repertoire because you can expand your repertoire. You can play pieces that are slightly higher, first of all, because there are notes here on this in this region of the violin as well, which you're going to learn from here to here in the third position. But also it will make your playing more expressive, and in my book there is a section on how you can use the third position for expression. And sometimes when you play the same notes on the A string, they sound a lot more mellow compared with when you play those same notes on the E string. So in that sense, you can adapt your fingering to the style of the music that you're playing. So when you're playing the third position, which I said is the second position that you actually learn, your top note is going to be a D. My first finger is then going to be on A here on the E string, B, C sharp, D. Okay. Now there's lots of music that has been composed in the key of D major, and that is when the third position that reaches the top D comes in so handy, because my first finger here on the A string is on a D and the fourth finger is on a D as well. So you can immediately play 3 Ds, which are notes that are very, very prominent in pieces in the key of D major. Can you hear 3 versions of the same D getting higher and higher and higher? So that's why the third position is so handy. Now the second position, if I place my first finger where normally my second finger is on the A string, now I'm in the second position. Okay, my top note here is a C. So if I play in the second position, I can play notes that are played in pieces that are played in the key of C major really easily. So I would say lots of music that has been adapted from piano music and been rewritten for the violin are mostly in the key of C major, because on the piano the key of C major is probably the easiest key because it doesn't use any black notes, you see. So when you play piano music that was written originally for piano on the violin, the second position is ever so easy, so ever so useful, I should be saying. So that is why it's so helpful to learn to play the second position, Linda. So keep at it, because the beginning of something new is always the hardest, isn't it? And then there comes a phase when you get totally confused, and then eventually 1 or 2 things will start to stick. What book can you use for learning the second position? My all-time favorite, I'm going to put it in the chat box for you, is Döflein, Erich Döflein. It's a German book. It's called Das Spiel in der zweite Lage, but it's called the second and third positions. It's translated into English as well, the second and third positions. Okay, very, very useful book. And just it's a bit sort of thorough in that there are many tunes which only ever so slightly build on the tune before, so it goes really slowly. Lots of exercises, and it's okay to skip the old one because it's so dense, but it's very, very good for learning the second position. Okay, so let me just check the chat box again. Could you please say something about how to adjust the shoulder holders? I imagine you mean the shoulder rest. Let's assume that you mean the shoulder rest. Okay. Now here we go to the next thing. I am using a Wolf Forte Secondo shoulder rest. It looks like this underneath. Can you see it? See if I can get the light on it so it doesn't shine too much. Wolf Forte Secondo. Why am I using the shoulder rest? I'll tell you what. About 2 years ago, I needed a new shoulder rest because my old Wolf had completely worn out. This is rubber and it is anti-slip, so it sticks to your shoulder more or less. Okay? And I wanted to try something different because I needed to have something a bit softer on my shoulder. So I spoke to my friend at Caswell Strings, and he said, I said to him, just send me a whole bunch of your most expensive shoulder rests because I need to try something different. So I have tried some eye-wateringly expensive shoulder rests, and guess what? I had about 7 or 8 that he sent me, and I sent almost everything back except for my Wolf shoulder rest. Because what this thing does, I find this still the most comfortable and the most adjustable. This thing has a little swivel. Can you see that? This little leg and swivel, which means that when I put it on my violin, it's not necessarily always flat. I'm not sure if you can, well, maybe you can see it like that. Can you see? It is not horizontal, not completely flat, but it is at a little angle. This side here is slightly closer to my violin than this side, this end here. Okay, so I could get it flatter if I wanted that. It's actually not used to sitting flat. Or maybe you can see it like that. Can you see it? Most of the time it is like this, at an angle. I think this is probably the way that you can see it the most clearly. Can you see? And that means that it fits my shoulder absolutely perfectly. Look, and this is how you want to test that your shoulder rests fit you, because you need to have no gap at all underneath here. So what you want to do is to start with your shoulder rest completely horizontal, so completely square across the violin, and then experiment. Go like this. Actually, everything's upside down for me now. Actually, perhaps more this way. So you can go this way, that way. How does it fit you the best? And then you find the most comfortable space, or this way. So you go and just shove it up a little bit further that side. Where do you find it the most comfortable? The violin sizes are not standardized, so your violin, although it might be called full size, might be slightly different in size compared with mine. Shoulders are not standardized, so even your own left and right shoulders may be very different, and this shoulder rest is not going to fit somebody else necessarily straight away. So you want to experiment, and then you want to constantly check that when you have it like this, there is absolutely no gap at all around here, and eventually you'll find the right spacing, the right fit for your shoulder rest. Now that has something to do with how high you carry the violin as well, so you want to make sure that this corner of your jaw here is over the chin rest. I see some people sometimes people book an online lesson with me and they say, I can't get my shoulder rest to fit, and then they have their violin here, which is way too low, you see. So once you get that right, then you want to start experimenting. Now you also don't want to have your violin too far to the side, you see. You want to have it about there, so not straight in front, about in the middle, so about 45-degree angle from straight in front, you see. But then other people want it a little bit further this way. Once you do that, it has huge consequences. So you want to sort out your shoulder rest first and get your angle right first, because if you move your violin slightly to the side, you're going to have to bow far further forward, you see. So find your ideal spot here so that you can easily bow as well, and then adjust your shoulder rest from there onwards. Now then, of course, it has some legs, and you can raise it and lower it. And if you're a beginner violinist, or it's the early stages of your violin playing, you haven't been playing for years and years, then start in the lowest position. If you have got an extremely long neck, you may go up a little bit, but I sometimes see violinists that have this completely extended, and it's a massively high shoulder rest. I keep thinking, if you have such a high shoulder rest, something else is wrong with your playing. So try it first in its lowest position, and only go like half a winding up or a whole circle up before you want to alter it, because you want to make it fit first of all. Okay, all right, so those are a few considerations about the shoulder rest. There are many different brands of shoulder rest, so if you can't get comfortable, try a different make, but in my own experience I find that this is the best one. And the big test is, can you do this? Can you put both hands on your head? Can you still talk while you hold the violin? Can you clap your hands in front? Can you clap your hands at the back, behind your back? So if that is the case and it still doesn't drop down, or slide down, should I say, then you're along the right tracks. And I'm hoping that answers your question. Let me just go back to the chat box and see what there is. Okay, yeah, can I write down the angle? Wolf, forte secondo, shoulder rest. If you go on my website, programstrings.com, it has a shop, and if you drop down in the shop, there is a section that says shoulder rests, and it's in there. Okay, don't go for the cheaper version. This usually costs, in the UK, costs about £35. That is a lot of money, but it lasts you for 10 years or so. This one I've had for a couple of years, and it's not damaged at all. The rubber is fresh and it's anti-slip, so it stays on your shoulder really well. So yes, it is a lot of money, but well worth it. Don't go for the cheap version because it doesn't have that swivel function. It's just missing this little connection here, and it doesn't swivel, and that's not what you want. That is one of the main features of this shoulder rest, you see. So there you go. Let me just go back to the chat box now. At an angle, yes, yeah, no gap at all, thank you. Okay, yeah, Annika says, mine always falls down. Why? Yeah, that happens to a lot of people, Annika. And the reason why shoulder rests fall down is usually, there are other reasons sometimes, but usually that people are gripping too hard. And that means that they're just gripping too hard with their jaw. And you can actually, I can't do it as an example, but people do lift their shoulder up and then squeeze really hard, and you just press it out from between your jaw and your shoulder. So if it falls off, sometimes it's just a little bit too swivelly. How can I say that? Sometimes there's something wrong, that it's not quite connected here, that this is not in the right groove. So this is like a screw type connection here. Sometimes it falls out. If I lower it too much, I won't do it now because it takes me an age to go back in. Actually, let me show you. So if I screw it up, does it want to? It doesn't want to do that. Oh yes, it has now come out. So I've gone too far down here, and this connection, let me just take it all apart and you can see it, because this is an interesting thing and it's ever so valuable knowing about this. So I'm taking all apart. So screw it completely out. Here it comes. Little trick of the trade, that. So now the little leg has come out of the screw. Can you see that? The screw was actually too far into this thingy. Okay, I'm taking it out and I'm screwing it back in from the other end. I need to just take this little bit of rubber away because that holds it in place, you see. Now I'm going to go down and screw this right back in until it's reached the lowest ring, shall we say. Gosh, nobody's ever asked me such a technical question before. Lovely, I'm loving it. Okay, so I'm leaving it about this much above that little hole, can you see? Now I'm putting the rubber back on so that it doesn't move. You will see when you get your version, then it will be fine. And then I screw this back in. So you see this thicker section is well and truly screwed in there. So that might be one of your reasons why your shoulder rest is falling off, that this has actually come away from that little ring, you see. So you can check that. Failing that, if that is all good and you've checked that, then it's probably a question of dropping your left shoulder down a little bit more and squeezing less hard with your jaw. Okay, and this one, now that I'm here, I can check it. I'm just lowering this one a little bit so that it's better in there. Okay, I'm hoping that answers your question and that gives you food for thought, and that is really what we want to achieve today, is that you go and explore these things for yourself and see what it looks like on your violin or with your type of shoulder rest, and how you can make that more comfortable, again aiming for the most relaxation, because you see violinists sometimes play like this and it is not good for your body and it's not good for the sound, because when you play with your shoulder raised, there is going to be tension in your upper arm, and as a result of that there's going to be tension in your forearm and in your hand as well. So everything starts with having 2 feet on the ground, first of all, playing in your socks. Do try this, and then we can talk about that next time. And then dropping all of that down. So let me write down my mindfulness course. You can find it if you click on my icon where it says program strings. You get to the home page of my channel, scroll right down, and I think the mindfulness course is right there, because the most popular courses are on that home page on my YouTube channel, you see. And it's one of the favorite courses because it's like violin yoga. It's very relaxing, but at the same time it tells you so much about your shoulder girdle and your upper arms and how it's all related to your back and to your stance. So yeah, I think it's still one of my favorite courses. Would you please write the name of the session? Wolf Secondo. Yes, legs are tricky. I wonder if both have to be the same height. Your legs? I hope they are more or less the same height. If you have difficulty with your legs, I'll tell you something that is super easy to check. I'm not sure if I can show you. Let me see how I'm going to do that. When you stand, oh, here's my chair. I'm not sure you can actually see the chair. Yes, you can. Playing with your one knee on a stool or on a chair like that is a super exercise. And then the next day you might try the other leg, just playing like that. And you can learn a lot about your balance when you practice like that. So go play in your socks first of all. Go with one knee on a little stool or on a dining chair. Find something that is more or less the same height as your knee, and then practice leaning on the stool with one leg and then the other, and you learn a lot about your stance from that. Now then, let's see. Lowest position. This extra function will be good. It's a good shoulder rest. I purchased one recently and have been so pleased with it. Yeah, Linda, absolutely right. Brian, hello Brian. He says, thank you for your work. Good to see you here. And Terry's here as well. Hello Terry, good morning. You are in the US. Are you not in California? So it will be very, very early for you. Well done for making it to this class. Why do many people cover their violin? Why do many people cover their violin? Is that, let me give you an example, then you can tell me if that is what you mean. Like this. Is it like that? Is that what you mean? Why do people cover their violin? You know, when people play a lot, people develop what's called a violin hickey. So you get a bit of hard skin here on the side of your neck where you're always on the chin rest of your violin. Okay, and that is extremely uncomfortable because next time you play, you hit that same spot again. So you could put eucalyptus oil on it, and there was something else that I had in my head a moment ago, and I've forgotten now. Oh, hello Val, watching for the first time from Tennessee. Welcome to this class. So Terry, this is what you mean, cover their violins. So it is protecting your neck. What is this called? eucalyptus oil, and there's another kind of oil that helps soften this bit in your neck if you play a lot and you get a very sore spot there. But this is one of the reasons why people might cover their violins. Sometimes you see people covering it in a handkerchief or like a soft cloth like I have. I never use this on my violin, but just to show you whether this is what you mean. And other people might use a chamois leather, and that means that it's going to be more anti-slip. So obviously those people will probably have a problem with the violin just wanting to go forward like that, and that helps against the slipping. So those are a couple of reasons why people cover their violins. But I'm always, obviously when I was at conservatoire and practiced every day and every night, there was some sort of sore patch there as well. But I think the issue that you want to solve is not to squeeze too hard with your neck, so that you don't develop this sore spot in your neck in the first place, okay? And then you can do away with all sorts of stuff that you might otherwise need or not need. Because I think having the connection there, the feel between your jaw and the instrument, you can feel the vibrations go into your bones. And some people actually say to me, that felt really pleasant. And you think, that felt really pleasant. And it is the vibrations that people really like the feel of. So that you will not only hear it, but you feel it vibrate in your head. And that is just one of those things that people really love about violin playing, is that it's not just what you hear, but what you feel as well. But if the feeling goes a bit too far and you develop all sorts of nasty rashes and things, then that is something that you can probably do something about it. Again, I'm going to refer to the Mindfulness for Violin Playing course, because that will help you relax that jaw, okay? And there's a really good exercise that goes with this. And all you guys who are thinking about shoulder rests and that sort of thing, is when you go like this and you go, we've been talking about position playing as well. When you move up to a higher position, and I'm just going to slide, let me just show you this. So when I'm moving up to a higher position, I don't need my neck at all, because my hand here pushes the violin into my neck. I only really need to put my jaw on to hold the violin in place while I shift down, you see. So you can go up. You can practice taking your head up, and then when you go down, then you grip it. And it's a really good exercise to stop gripping and to get trust in that your violin will stay on your shoulder even when you take your head away, you see. Another maybe slightly easier exercise like that as well is whenever you play an open string, just lift your head off. And that helps you play with less tension in your neck. So go ahead and explore those ideas, because they're general ideas that help a lot of violin players, you see. So you may well benefit from little tips like that. And sometimes, you know, this is my idea for the future, that most people learn with my YouTube channel, with the videos that I hopefully have explained clearly enough so that most people can get by with them and learn the pieces that they want to play. But occasionally people get stuck because they didn't know about those screws or the swivel in the shoulder rest or little things like that. And then people book a one-off lesson with me so we can sort out one or two little things, and then you can carry on developing on your own again. And this is something that I'm just about to slow down my work, you see. So that would be how I envisage the future, is that people get one or two hints and tips for their playing, and then they can move on by themselves again. And then sometimes you hit an obstacle again, or you don't know how to play something in your music. You have a one-off lesson with me, and then you can move on your own again. So I'm hoping that helps. Val said, appreciate hearing anything. I'm brand new at the violin. I've had about 7 lessons. Oh, well done you. Really good. Well, we all have been there, and we know that the very beginning is always the hardest. Whenever you learn any new skill, if I learn to do crochet, which I can't do, I'm sure the start will be the most difficult thing. If you learn to cook and you've never cooked before, getting those first couple of weeks out of the way and learn the first essentials, then you've got the most difficult bit done, isn't it? So well done you for sticking with your 7 lessons, and keep going. It will get easier after this. And there's lots of interesting stuff still to come on the violin. So I won't say then your journey is going to be easy, but the hardest part is done and you're here. So that is also one of those things, is actually turning up and taking in some new ideas. So well done you. Okay, so let me see. I'm just looking at the chat box. My hand frame is not consistent after removing my finger tape off and play flat when moving from the D string. Yeah, I remember when you said you were taking your finger tape off, and that was very courageous to do that. And you have done the first thing of getting better with this, because you have identified what happens. Because you say, I play flat when moving from the D string to the A string. Knowing what's going to happen will allow you to improve. So your analysis of what's happened is spot on. Well done. Now, why does your hand go flat when you go from the D string to the A string? You probably do something like that. You see? The issue that you want to work on is most likely, I mean, I haven't seen you, so forgive me if that's not the case, but the most likely scenario for most people is when they go from the D string to the A string, they do this. Can you see? My wrist is just slightly bent. Now, if you swing your elbow, look at that. Then my fingers, you can actually see when I do it like this. Can you see? I only need to move my elbow and my fingers steer from one string to another. Can you see that? See? So try to shift from one string to another by moving your elbow in and out instead of finding that solution there. So this stays the same, more or less straight, and then you go like that. Can you see that? Can you see the difference? So this and that, this, that makes your fingers flat. Why does it make your fingers flat? Take a look at my fingertips. My fingertips are round, aren't they? Now it looks as if my wrist is a bit bent, but look at my fingertips when I really start to bend my wrist. Can you see that my finger is tilting backwards? So it's going this way as opposed to staying upright. So that's why you're getting flatter. Now, if you move your elbow, your fingertip stays at the right angle. It's difficult for me to show like that, but try it on your own violin, okay? And it's easier to do. So straight wrist, move your elbow. That is where you want to look for improvement there. Let me see what else is there in the chat box. Good news, I start again to practice every day. Quick one technical. Wanted to tell your book is wonderfully for people who want to. Thanks very much, Terry. Terry's talking about my book. Have I told you about my new book? Do it yourself violin. Really something to sort out. And in the early stages of this live class, I've told you how this came about. So if you want to hear that story again, then after this has been uploaded, just check out the beginning of this video, okay? So lovely book. This goes from complete novices, people who've never ever played, to upper intermediate. So you learn to play with vibrato, you learn to play positions, and this will help you immensely with all the basic techniques that I find important as a teacher, that I need you to know. Double stops, lots of different repertoire, both classical and more modern pieces. Granny Funny says, I shall get this book. I hope it's good for me. I worked through Suzuki Book 1. Yes, there will be overlaps, but you know, that will be really good. Let me see. How am I going to do that? Because I'm on 2 devices. If you go on proamstrings.com, in the top bar where the menu is, so it says home, about, then it says DIY violin. If you click on that, it tells you all about the book and how you can order it. And I get the message here and I will pack it for you just like I've packed Linda's copy. In a couple of weeks I shall have a girl doing that for me, but in all books sold in April and May will get a special message if you write about it to ask me about it. And if you, I can't remember now whether there's a space that you can ask about it on the order form, but if you need to ask about it, then go on info@proamstrings.com. Hang on a second. info@proamstrings.com. That's my email address, and you can ask, please sign my copy. Then I will sign it for you during April and May. So yeah, I've signed quite a few this week, but I'm happy to do that in the next couple of weeks as well. And Kirsty says, I need to film my next practice to see what I'm doing. Yes, absolutely. If you can do that, that's usually very explanatory. And like I said to you, you've already come a long way in identifying what exactly the issue is. You were going flat on the A string, so you do something completely different to cure it than if you had been too sharp on the A string, you see. So thank you all very much for all your relevant questions and your good humour and your patience. It's always a pleasure for me to do these live classes. If you want to support the Pro Am Strings YouTube channel, then by all means consider taking out a membership, because that supports me as a creator on YouTube, and that's ever so valid. There's other ways of supporting this channel, and just check out the description below this video. But one thing that you can do right now is perhaps like this video as you are here. That would be helping me so much. Thank you very much. In May, I have to think about when we're doing our live class, because I'm going to go on a mega bike ride, and I should be away at the end of May, and I have to cycle 240 kilometers in one day. So think about me, please, when I'm suffering on Whitsun Monday, the 20th of May. I'm hoping I'm not going to be back the following Friday, so check out the YouTube channel whenever you're going to look for a live class. Obviously it will be announced there, and if you subscribe and hit the bell, then you get notified whenever something new happens on the channel. Okay, so wish me luck. I'm training so hard at the moment. 240k, called Fiets Elfstedentocht in the Netherlands. Okay, look it up because it's real fun. Thank you very much for watching, and good luck with your violin playing. Bye everyone.